The following game and other 2012 Chatham Cougar games are now available for purchase on Blu-ray and DVD. Relive every touchdown, great play, and hard hit in stunning high definition, with high-quality detail not available in the original broadcast. Don't miss a single detail with this high-definition offer. And now available for purchase, player highlight DVDs. Perfect for college or university applications. Working directly with you from our 2011 and 2012 archives, along with your footage you wish to use. With a professionally printed and rendered disc, this makes a great highlight for any application. Visit us and check out our online store at jdmediaproductions.com for further information. Enjoy the game.
And we welcome you to TV Cogeco's broadcast of the Chatham-Kent Cougars of the 2012 season in the Ontario Football Conference. And we welcome you here this afternoon. It is Mike Renier along with Mike James, Jeff Brooks on the camera, your broadcast crew this afternoon. Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex and the varsity squad. We're actually bringing you two games today. The varsity squad up here this afternoon. We'll have the Bantam game a little bit later on this evening. And Mike, today's opposition up in London, Forest City Thunderbirds.
Yeah, it's going to be, expect to be a good game today. The Chatham-Kent Cougars are going to be looking to bounce back from their first loss of the season, unfortunately, last week, falling to the Twin City Predators, 21-6. A tight game, I understand, obviously by the score, but also speaking with some people that were there. I understand the Cougars actually had a chance at a pick six that went through the hands of one of the defensive players, and obviously that would have made it even tighter. But expect a good matchup here today. Again, the Cougars looking to bounce back. They have a 2-1-1 record. London coming in with an 0-4 record, certainly going to be motivated to get their first win of the season.
And even with that loss last week, it's still a lot of bright spots for this varsity team for the Cougars. They had really 3 great games to kick off this season. Last week, a little bit of a blip, but a good test here against Forest City, a team that has kind of fallen flat to start off this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When a team like Forest City London comes in here, they're going to be looking to turn things around against a team that's maybe we don't know how they're going to react to their first loss of the season.
And Forest City will start off this football game at their very own 20-yard line or thereabouts, as a very good kick from the Cougars going down the field. So the defense with a pretty good starting position here on the field for the Cougars.
Nice job there by Tanner Emery on the coverage, and London going to start with the ball just on their 20-yard line. So nice spot for the Cougars defense to start this game off.
Slightly overcast. Actually, a nice day for football. All 4 classes of the Chatham-Kent Cougars in action. So you had the Pee Wee team with a win. Junior varsity took it on the chin a little bit earlier on this afternoon also, and this is the third of 4 games here at the Athletic Complex. Is the Forest City team keeping it on the ground and getting a few yards on the positive side. Number 27, Chase Cornea, on the opening run. So a second down and mid-range coming up here for Forest City, but pick up a 3 thereabouts.
Yeah, and Cornea is listed as a defensive back here, so it looks like Cornea plays both ways. For London, looks like he'll play defensive back as well as quarterback, and that time showing he's got some athleticism with the quarterback option. He held on to it, and as you mentioned, just about a 3, maybe a 4-yard gain on first down.
Second down and 7 for the Forest City Thunderbirds. The very first series of this football game, dropping back to pass on second and fairly long, and that one undercuts the receiver by about 3 yards or thereabouts, as that was intended for Eric Keys, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 7 situation for Forest City.
Well, Cornea as you mentioned, Mike, about 3 yards short on that throw. That was well short of his intended receiver. It looked like he did have a man there in the middle of the field, but just couldn't get the ball there. Interestingly enough, when you look at these two teams, London, they come in, the points for and points against differential is, well, quite lopsided when it comes to London. They have just 21 points for on offense so far in their first 4 games this season. That's less than a touchdown a game, but they allow 142 so far in the season. So I think that tells you a lot.
And off the kick, couple of flags come down. The football bounces around the 44-yard line of Forest City. No yards, and a good starting position here for the Cougars as they will have their first go at it on offense.
And we'll have to wait and see on the flags as well. That could be a no yards penalty. We'll have to wait for the call from the referees. But you mentioned it, Mike. This is a great start so far for the Cougars. You get a 2 and out, you force a punt, and you're going to be starting, it looks like, on London's side of the field.
Only 6 points to the board offensively last week for the Varsity Cougars, but still in the offense in the first 4 games overall, you got to like a lot of the positives that are starting to work well and mesh well this season. Yeah,
I've really been impressed with the arm of Kyle Ross. He throws a nice tight spiral, and he's got some receivers. Obviously, Josh Hamilton and Woodman moving on to the next level. Some other players have had to step up, and so far we've seen some of that.
And they're going to keep it on the ground to start off this offensive drive. And a great run, still on his feet, going down, and some room to move. Maybe a major score for the Cougars. It is a touchdown on the first offensive play. What a great run by Lee Purnell, as Lee finds an opening along the left-hand side. And Purnell, lickety-split, 6-0 Cougars.
Wow, Lee Purnell showing what size can do for you. He ran over at least 2 would-be tacklers. One of the defensive backs just got absolutely plastered, and that's something we don't usually see from Purnell. He gets the quarterback toss and just runs with it. Usually he's your receiver, your sure-handed receiver. He's got that good size. He's shown he can catch the ball in traffic, but there he shows he can pick up some yards on the ground, and a big 42-yard touchdown run on the very first play for the Cougars, making it look easy.
Extra point coming up here. It is up, and it is through. A 7-0 lead, just like that. If you went to get a drink, you missed it probably. 7-0 the Cougars. Not only their first drive of this game, but their first play. They kept it on the ground, and Purnell with a 42-yard run to pay dirt. So a great start for the Chatham-Kent Cougars over the Forest City Thunderbirds, as the T-Birds will now get their second shot on offense.
And if you're London right now, you got to be reeling a little bit. Not the start you were looking for on the road to try and get that first win of the season. As we mentioned, you know, on offense they go 2 and out, gaining just 3 or 4 yards, and then after that forced to punt and giving up a touchdown on the very first play and some questionable tackling on that very first play. So London going to be looking to pull up their socks here on their second possession, because Chatham-Kent, they're going to smell blood in the water if that's what they're going to see this entire game.
Just 2 minutes in and a 7-0 lead for the Cougars, and Clark Green getting ready to kick this away to the Thunderbirds. Lee Purnell, the touchdown run, 42 yards to the big house, and another good kick fielded around the 10-yard line for the Forest City Thunderbirds, and a decent return here, as still on his feet and heading up to the 50-yard line to get maybe 1 yard short of the 50. That was a nice run there, number 10, and Isaiah Ganga bringing that up to a decent field position there for Forest City.
Well, that's what you'd like to see if you're the London coaching staff. Isaiah Ganga with a good head of steam on that return, and a nice gain to give London some strong starting position here on their own 49-yard line, as you mentioned. So London, interesting to see here what they come out with this time. We saw the quarterback option, which gained about 4 yards on first down. The throw, though, came up well short of the receiver on second down. We'll look to see if Chase Cornea looks to go the air a little bit more here.
Dropping it back, he keeps it on the ground this time around, wrapped up after maybe a 2-yard gain. Good job by front line of the Cougars, and that looked like a big tackle for Mike Nicholson.
Yeah, the defensive tackle. The Cougars have that beef right in the middle of the line. Jordan Deneau and Mike Nicholson. Nicholson, number 61, coming up with that tackle. And as we mentioned on our previous broadcast, that's where the Cougars coaching staff, head coach Jeff Green, feels the strength of this team is their front 7, depending on their alignment, their front 8, their linebackers and their linemen. So that's going to be a tough sledding if you're trying to run the ball inside on the Cougars.
Cordy in the shotgun, dropping back to pass. He goes up the middle, and it is intercepted by the Cougars. Big interception. Evan Vaughn coming up with that one just before it hit the turf. He got his hands underneath, and Vaughn with the INT.
Nice play by Evan Vaughn there. Ball gets up in the air. It doesn't look like Chase Cornea was right on target with that pass. It was a little bit errant, and Evan Vaughn, just reading the eyes of the quarterback, does a nice job playing the ball in the air, makes the diving grab before the ball hits the ground, and gives the Cougars the ball on their own side of the field. But Evan Vaughn, just his second game back, he was a little dinged up and had some minor surgery and played his first game back last week. Today is full second game back, so a nice job by Evan Vaughn with the pick.
So again, good stuff on defense for the Cougars. They go back to offense. They keep it on the ground. And a run for Pataki, still on the ground through midfield. As they get out of the pile of players there. And Pataki brings it into Thunderbird territory as he had that second opportunity on his feet and he made it count.
It's a gain of about 19 yards there, but they're marching this one back. There's a flag, and it's a holding call against the Cougars, so that one's going to hurt. Unfortunately, that negates the 19-yard gain by Pataki.
If you're the Cougars, you want to control it as best you can here for this game. That was an opportunity wasted on a nice run by Pataki, but they're backed up now to the 28-yard line, first down and 20, so makes the task a little bit more difficult. In the shotgun formation, and this one blown dead before it begins. See another penalty maybe against the Cougars once again. And procedure as Tyler Zanke gets called for that one. So now first and 25 as the Cougars just keep going backwards on penalties.
Yeah, Chatham-Kent, after that strong start with the touchdown on their very first possession, the very first play of their very first possession, now they've gone 2 straight penalties, unfortunately, going in the wrong direction, moving backwards. You'd like to see the Cougars clean that up right away. I mean, it's early in the game. They've only run 3 offensive plays, and they've got 2 penalties already. So obviously the Cougars are going to be looking to clean that up.
So now back to their own 23-yard line, first at a whopping 25 yards to make up for here. To the air, ball is tipped and almost intercepted in the vicinity. Number 18, Ian Goff, just wasn't able to pull that one down, and it falls incomplete. So second and 25 coming up now for the Cougars deep in their own territory.
Yeah, we've seen quarterback Kyle Ross he likes to spread the ball around to his receivers from what we've seen so far this season. Dan Fox that time looked like he might have had a chance. It was good coverage there from the defensive back. Also, one of the key targets that we'll keep an eye on today is Ben Bartlett, number 81, who seems to be emerging as a favorite of Kyle Ross as well.
And Ross back to pass on second and very long to that far sideline and about 5 yards out of the reach of the intended receiver, which was Ben Bartlett, as we were just talking about. Bartlett, some good speed for him, but he just couldn't quite get underneath that one. That one overthrown a little bit. Yeah,
and credit to the defensive back. He was step for step with Bartlett there, but Kyle Ross showing off his arm ability. There is a bit of a breeze here. It is blowing, it looks like at the back of the Cougars right now. The wind shifting around. It almost looks like it's sometimes at the back of the Cougars, sometimes it's blowing across the field. So we'll keep an eye on that to see if that becomes a bigger factor. But the wind might have pushed that ball beyond the receiver that time as well.
So penalties downfall for the Cougars there, as they had excellent field position off of the interception. But they were pushed back 15 yards by 2 different penalties, and they have to kick this one away on third and very long. And a bouncing ball comes down around the 35-yard line of Forest City. And a good job on special teams. Not much of a return there for the T-Birds. So Forest City takes over on offense at around their 40-yard line.
Good job by the Cougars special teams there surrounding the return man, and then Evan Vaughn coming in to clean it up. make a nice tackle. Not much of a gain on the return by London, so a nod to the special teams of the Cougars with their good coverage there, pitting London on their own side of the field.
So tough going offense so far for the T-Birds. We'll see how they do on their third go at it. Just over 9 to go in the first quarter, and they'll keep it on the ground, going on to the near side and picking up a couple of yards, and a big hit there by number 39, Connor Martin, on the running back, who's actually a little slow to get up after that hit.
Yeah, Tristan Robinet looked like he cleaned that one up. Number 24 for the Cougars, the corner on this side. And that was a good job by Tristan, holding the corner and not allowing that running back to try and get outside the corner.
And now the running back for the Thunderbirds, obviously shaken up off of that hit, as a training staff out to take a look and see if he's okay. Marching back in there, Ian Goff, number 18 for Forest City, looking to take his place perhaps. Still down. Into the end zone for Lee Purnell, the only touchdown that we have so far, and finally up under his own power as Eric Keys, one of the big catalysts actually offensively for the Forest City Thunderbirds. So luckily for that squad, he's up and walking back to the sideline under his own power. He's got a lot of good talent. Yeah,
he's touched the ball a number of times so far since London's had the ball. Number 83 for London. So good to see him walking off on his own power. Might have just had the wind knocked out of him there on the big hit by Tristan Robinet.
Gain of 2 on that last run, and 2nd and 8. Looks like some early movement. Flag down. They keep it on the ground, and again, the Chatham-Kent defense right there to stuff the running back. And Cornea wasn't able to get very much on that. We'll see what the flag does here.
The swarming defense from the Cougars there, showing they've got speed to run sideline to sideline. There was really nowhere for the ball carrier to go on that play. Tried to cut it back inside, but just a sea of Cougars in pursuit. But this penalty going against the Cougars for sure.
A 5-yard penalty, so we'll do 2nd down again. So a bit of a break there for Forest City. 2nd and 3 now as the clock ticks down. Just over 8.5 to go this opening quarter, and the Cougars up 7-0. Ball resting at the 47-yard line of Forest City. And they do a quarterback sneak up the middle here, trying to get the necessary yardage. Looks like they have more than what they need. And a 1st down, the first down offensively for the Forest City Thunderbirds, about a half a quarter in.
Yep, Chase Cornea is showing he's not afraid to keep the ball. Runs it for the 1st down. So we've seen Cornea, the quarterback for London, tuck the ball and run a couple of times here. So I think the Cougars going to be teeing off on that. Because to be honest with you, Cornea doesn't look like the strength of his game is putting the ball in the air. So you got to figure the Cougars defense trying to get a sense of that at this point, and maybe pinning their ears back and focusing on the run game.
Certainly not your prototypical drop-back quarterback, Cornea, for the Forest City Thunderbirds. Quite athletic. And 1st and 10 for the visitors as they're down 7-0. Out of the shotgun, Cornea flips it to his running back off to his left, duking a couple of tackles and getting close to a 1st down. Very good run there by number 20, Jamie Giesler of the Forest City Thunderbirds. He was able to juke around a couple of defensemen from the Cougars and get up to around the 52-yard line. And that's going to be 2nd and maybe 1 yard to go.
Yeah, number 7 for the Cougars, the linebacker Miles Robinson would like to have that one back. He had him dead in his sights in the backfield and just whiffed on the tackle. It would have been a loss of a couple yards. Instead, the ball carrier eludes him, and a nice gain on 1st down, as you mentioned, Mike, about 8-9 yards, and brings up an easy 2nd down conversion here for London.
2nd and 1 here for the Forest City Thunderbirds, trying to keep this drive alive, down by 7, dropping back to pass. And getting wrapped up by the defense of the Cougars, he is going to fall for a loss on 2nd and 1. Could not take advantage of that short distance for another first down, and a big play defensively for the Cougars. And it looks like they're getting the ball back.
Nice job there by Jordan Deneau with that big tackle. What seemingly seemed to be an easy 2nd down conversion, 2nd down and short for a first down. Jordan Deneau comes up with a big play, the big tackle in the backfield, and pins them back for a loss of about 5 or 6.
So that could be a momentum swing there for the Cougars. A big stop. And now a little trickery on 3rd down. A wide open receiver overthrown by quite a few yards. And Jamie Giesler was wide open, but the quarterback just couldn't quite get it to him, way over his head. And Giesler kind of wondering where he's throwing that football. So the Cougars will take over in very good field position.
That was Matthew Cochins, who is listed as a quarterback here. As we mentioned, Chase Cornea, number 27, playing quarterback. He's listed as a defensive back, but he is playing quarterback. Matthew Cochins was the one that threw that ball, listed as a quarterback for London, but that throw in between the 2 receivers he had in that vicinity.
Pretty close to midfield here for the Cougars. They keep it on the ground on 1st and 10, and they're going to get some pretty good yardage here by one of their big guys, Blaine Bayshard. That 6 foot 207 frame rumbling right up the middle, and Bayshard will get, he does get the first down. That was very close, and they give the first down to him, so Bayshard with a good run. Another first down.
Just on the eye test, taking a look at London, they don't look to be the biggest team that the Cougars have seen. And you almost get the sense that maybe the Cougars are going to want to run the ball, establish the run game here, and use that the good size they have on the offensive line and the good size they have in the backfield and run the football.
On 1st and 10, a reception up the middle, and another good gain here as Cole Herman comes down with that one. And Kyle Ross changing things up here on this drive. 1 run, 1 pass, and up to the 34-yard line. Another first down for the Cougars.
Well, it's nice to see the Cougars bounce back on this offensive drive after the last time getting 2 consecutive penalties. I'm sure they got an earful when they got to the sideline and basically regain their focus here on this offensive possession and get down to business, if you will, because the Cougars certainly are one of the more talented teams in the league. They just got to put it all together.
They keep it on the ground this time, right up the middle, flag down. As the flag comes down off of the end of that run. Looked like there might have been maybe some early movement on that play, but the flag didn't come down until the end of that running play. It looks like people are moving backwards here. Looks like this will be against Chatham-Kent. And this might be a 10-yarder. That one going against number 44, Tyler Zanke, on the hold. And again, off of a positive run up the middle, some more penalty trouble for Chatham-Kent.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, you want to play a nice, clean game, and the Cougars coming off that first loss, you like to see them come out here motivated, but some penalties so far in this one.
Little trickery play here on 1st and 20, and the ball comes down in the arms of the receiver, and a big, big play. Jonah Pataki comes, sorry, that's Lee Purnell, a big catch, another big catch for Purnell. And that kind of trickery play there on 1st and 20 comes up big for the Cougars.
Yeah, the halfback option, nice toss there, right into the hands, I believe it was Blaine Bayshard who just wailed back and let that one go. And Lee Purnell, he's shown us that he can catch the ball in traffic, and he showed it again there. 2 defenders on top of him, but he still comes up with the football. Lee Purnell is a big man, 6'4", 215, and he's got strong hands. He showed you that there.
And here they are keeping it on the ground for the Cougars, heading towards the end zone, as they're looking for another major score here, already up 7-0. And that one comes down just a little bit short as we're coming up to the 12-minute mark of this first quarter. Pataki on the ground.
1st and goal from the 1-yard line.
1 yard to go to the end zone. First and goal here for the Cougars. Ross gets the snap, hands it off to the running back, and a bit of a wall defensively for the Forest City Thunderbirds, not allowing the Cougars into the end zone. And another second and goal coming up here for the Cougars.
Yeah, London not just going to let the Cougars waltz right in. Good job by that defensive line. The big stuff right up the middle.
Pataki couldn't get in. Right back to the line of scrimmage, right at the 1 yard line, second and goal. See if they decide to run up the gut once again or if they try to amend that a little bit.
It looks like we have a timeout call coming from London. Thought we could hear the coaching staff saying something about a timeout, but the referees haven't signaled anything yet. Oh.
Looks like maybe there is a timeout.
Oh, we understand maybe it might be a timeout because there was some blood on one of the players, so we'll get that cleaned up.
Second and goal, 1 yard line of the Forest City Thunderbirds. Cougars knocking on the door, already up 7-0. As Lee Purnell has had a great first quarter. He has the only score of the game. Big run in for the touchdown for Purnell, 7-0, and the Cougars certainly won another major right here in the last couple of minutes of the first quarter.
And the score was a surprise because it was actually a toss play. Purnell was lined up as a receiver, and he came back on the end around, took the toss from Kyle Ross, and ran over a couple of defenders and went 42 yards for the major. You're used to seeing Lee Purnell catch the ball in the middle of the field or in traffic, as we just saw a couple plays ago, but Purnell showing he's got some wheels, and he definitely has size. I mean, when you've got a big body like that, 6'4", 215, rumbling full speed ahead, you know, it's tough to throw your body in front of that, and there was at least one defender who felt the full brunt of that force and was left in the tracks.
Timeout over now. Cougars 1 yard away from another major score, trying to build on this lead in the latter stages of this first quarter. 2-1-1 through the first 4 games for the Varsity Cougars, trying to get their 3rd victory of the season. Back to snap and looking for an open receiver, and that falls just incomplete, just bouncing in front of the intended receiver. And Cole Herman wishes he had another shot at that.
Yeah, and you wonder if maybe Kyle Ross put a little too much mustard on it as well. I mean, he had his receiver only a couple yards away and kind of fired it in there. But looks like the Cougars are going to go for it here on 3rd down.
Going for pay dirt here, 3rd down and 1. And Ross decides to keep it himself, and he goes in for the touchdown. And the Cougars do get their 2nd major of the quarter, now up 13-0. And a good job by Kyle Ross to find an opening up the middle.
Yeah, I like that play call from the offensive coaching staff for the Cougars. You give Kyle Ross the option. If he wants to, he can pitch it out. All he has to do is read the defender on that left side, and just depending on how that defender reacts, he can either keep it and run in for the score, or if the defender bites on him, then he can pitch it out to the running back. That time, the defender bit on the fake toss, and he had a clear run into the end zone. A nice job by Kyle Ross, and a nice play call on 3rd down from the coaching staff of the Cougars.
Clark Green for his 2nd point attempt of the football game, and it now is a 14-0 lead for the Cougars on the Forest City Thunderbirds. So another good job on offense for the Cougars here at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex on a Sunday afternoon. Nice afternoon. Mike Renier, Mike James with you in the broadcast booth. Jeff Brooks on the camera here this afternoon. 1:38 to go in this first quarter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd just like to remind you of our 50-50 draw.
Cougars with a good start to this season, looking for their 3rd victory of the year. And a tough start for Forest City as they're just not on the same page and not getting a lot of success just yet this season. So the Cougars looking to take advantage of the miscues of the early season for the Thunderbirds, and so far they are 14-0. They have the lead.
So pick up your tickets at the concession stand to the right of the stadium.
Well, you got to like the start from the Cougars so far. Obviously, when you look at the score, 14-0, the one thing you'd say you'd like to see cleaned up is the penalty flags on offense. 4 of them so far, I believe, on offense. Obviously, that hasn't stopped them from scoring points, but as we've mentioned, you know, London obviously is struggling so far this season at 0-4. But you want to see your team sharp every single week, and you'd like to see those penalties get cleaned up. And I'm sure the Cougars offense is going to be focusing on that as this game goes on.
Another healthy kick there by the Cougars, and a good return for Forest City as they get as far as their own 35-yard line. And that's where they're going to start off on offense, down by a couple of touchdowns. Minute and a half to go in this opening quarter.
That ball's returned to the 35-yard line. First down.
So that's where the offense with Chase Cornea and company will begin their latest quest for points here for the Forest City Thunderbirds. On 1st and 10, dropping back to pass now, finding a hole up the middle and keeping it himself for a few yards as Chase Cornea keeps it himself. Second down coming up.
The Cougars getting some nice pressure there in the backfield. Cornea didn't look like he really had anywhere to go with that football. The receiver's well covered. And I'm not too sure how comfortable Cornea is throwing the ball back there in the first place, to be honest. He doesn't look like he's really getting settled in the pocket. Now, that could be a product of the Cougars' defensive line getting some pressure back there as well. They did a nice job. But it looks like London going to be focusing mainly on the ground game here, even though it looked like they were going to put the ball up in the air. Cornea obviously likes to tuck the ball and run. And I think the Cougars' defense keying in on that.
2nd and 7, and again, they keep it on the ground. Quarterback nowhere near the first down yardage that he needs. Picks up maybe 2 on that last one. That's going to leave them with a 3rd and 5 situation coming up. So again, the defense coming up big here for the Cougars. Seem to have figured out the ground game for Forest City thus far as we come to an end here in this first quarter, the next couple of plays.
Yeah, Cougars definitely have a strong defensive game. And so far in the season, the Cougars have scored 105 points in their 4 games. They've only allowed 62. So nice job by the Cougars defense so far this season.
And not a very good kick on the part of Forest City. That one will drop back in Forest City territory around the 52-yard line or thereabouts. That is the final play of the first quarter. And pretty much all Cougars so far, 14-0. Chatham-Kent leading Forest City as we switch over to the second quarter. So thoughts of the first quarter, not too bad for Chatham-Kent, Michael.
No, a good start, up 14-0. And their offense, aside from the penalties, has looked sharp. London has struggled in their tackling so far. And the Cougars' defense has really teed off on London's offense. London's offense has really had a lot of trouble moving the football so far in this game. And we'll see if that continues here in the second quarter.
So 1st and 10, ball at the 50.
And we are now into the second quarter. 14-0 Cougars on offense. Here's Ross heading up and hitting his intended receiver. Nice catch around the 35-yard line, and it's taking about 5 Thunderbirds to bring down Blaine Bayshard. And I don't wonder, he is a well-built receiver / running back. Blaine Bayshard picking that one up. And his 6', 207 frame was a tough one to bring down.
And a nice job by Bayshard catching that football in traffic, because he knew there was a safety right in the middle of the field just as he went up to catch that ball. And I think he saw the safety out of the corner of his eye, but sacrificed himself anyway, went up, made the catch, and then, as you mentioned, wasn't going to give up easily, and got a few more yards after the catch.
Now shoveling off to the right, running to some open field. Jonah Pataki Getting that shovel pass, more positive yardage there for the Cougars on 1st and 10. Just over a minute into the second quarter.
Yeah, the Cougars seem to be developing a bit of a thunder and lightning running back tandem there with Jonah Pataki. He comes in at 6 foot 190, so he's more the lightning, whereas Blaine Bayshard at 6 foot 207 is more the thunder, you know, the bruising back, if you will. So a nice mix in the backfield for the Cougars. And so far this game, you got to say that Kyle Ross looks extremely comfortable in the pocket when he drops back to pass. I think he knows that he's got a strong offensive line, and he can go through his reads looking for an open receiver. He looks extremely comfortable dropping back to put the ball in the air.
Enough for the first down, a 10-yard run, and another first down for the Cougars. They keep it on the ground, and more big-time yardage on the ground for the Cougars. Lee Purnell getting the call once again, and he gets dropped down, looks like inside the 20-yard line of the Thunderbirds.
Well, the Cougars coaching staff taking advantage of Lee Purnell's big body and some of the size advantages they have on the London defense. So they got Purnell lined up in the backfield. He simply takes that handoff and takes that big frame and a bit of an upright running style and just looking to run people over, and a nice gain there on first down.
Just shy of another one, 2nd and 1, 15-yard line of the T-Birds. They keep it on the ground once again. First down and a touchdown for the Cougars. Touchdown. Their third major of the afternoon. Jonah Pataki gets his 6 points right there, and the Cougars now up to a comfortable 20-0 lead.
Well, some nice blocking from the offensive line there. Pataki just takes it, cuts it back up through the middle, and then finds a couple of nice blocks on his way to the house. Just nice offensive execution from the Cougars offense on that drive. No penalties, which is obviously something you like to see after the first couple of drives that they had, and extending their lead now to potentially 21-0.
And we'll see if that does indeed happen. Actually a low snap, but Clark Green still able to get the kick away. And a 21-0 lead for the Cougars. Just over 2 minutes into this second quarter at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex. And the varsity squad off to a very big lead here against Forest City.
Nice job by Kyle Ross picking up that low snap, getting the ball down for Clark Green on the extra point.
Third game out of 4 here this afternoon on this Sunday at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex. It's Alumni Day. Pee-wees with a victory. That was the first game actually kicking off this morning. Pee-wees victorious. Junior varsity squad. Bit of a tough loss earlier on this afternoon. Bantams playing after this one. And that will wrap up the quadruple header this afternoon.
And as part of the alumni celebrations, before this game, during the coin toss, they had some alumni here. Cody St. Pierre, Jeremiah Hamilton, Josh Wright, Graham Smith, and Mike McKelstrom all here for the coin toss. So that was nice to see.
A lot of talent there that you mentioned.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, some of those players I'm sure they'd love to have back right now.
And a little bit of a flub off of that kick to see if the Cougars can get possession again. Looks like Forest City will have the ball flagged down outside of the 40-yard line.
I think Evan Vaughn would like to have that one back. That ball hit the return man, and Evan Vaughn right there dove on it, and the ball just squeaked out from under him. The London return man able to jump back on it.
Adam Aquila able to secure the football. 12:38 to go in the opening half. Forest City will take over around the 36-yard line in their own territory. 21-0, the Cougars leading the Thunderbirds.
Well, at some point you might wonder if perhaps London will make a change at quarterback, or even you might expect to see maybe a little bit of trickery here if London can get something to spark their offense. Not a lot to build off of so far in this game.
Just over a quarter into this game, not a lot of positives here offensively for the Thunderbirds. You figure they want to turn things around right now, and at the very least head into halftime with a little bit of momentum. But the Cougars looking pretty good so far, looking to stretch the record to 3-1-1 in the season.
First and 10 now, ball at the 37-yard line.
T-Birds started their own 37. And Cornea will keep it himself off to the left-hand side, trying to get around the corner. He does. He'll get it as far as the 45 or very close to it. So all in all, not a bad run there by the quarterback on first and 10.
No, it was a positive gain. Basically just running almost like a sweep using the quarterback over that left side and just using his speed to try and get outside. Uses blockers and a nice gain, 7, maybe 8 yards on first down. The only problem that London might be facing is if they continue to go with the ground game, then the Cougars defense is just going to continue to play the ground game until London can prove that they can throw the ball effectively, and they certainly haven't proven that so far this game.
Well, at the very least, a manageable second down here for the Thunderbirds at their own 44-yard line. And surprisingly here, Cornea looking to pass it, and it is intercepted by the Cougars as they come back the other way. And being wrapped up around midfield, Eric Frappier on the interception. There is a flag down, however.
There's a flag on the play.
We'll see if that was pre or post interception.
I think they're calling that. I think they were calling that roughing the passer against the Cougars.
Well, they are walking backwards, so that interception looks to be negated here.
That'll be a major foul against the Cougars, and first down, Thunderbirds from the.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It negates the interception from Eric Frappier. Of course, the Cougars already have one interception this game from Evan Vaughn.
So that's a big swing in favor of Forest City, and again, they do an end around off to that far side. Looking like the defense a little bit too much for Forest City to handle there. And Adam Aquila not able to do much on the ground.
Good swarming defense from the Cougars. 4 or 5 different white jerseys on top of the ball carrier that time. That's what you like to see. You don't want just leave it to one man. You're out there as a unit. You want to attack the ball carrier as a unit. That's a good job not allowing the ball carrier to gain any extra yards after the first contact.
So we're back to the original line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Looks like
10 and a half. Sorry, Michael.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it looks like we've got a timeout on the field. Some players with their helmets off and the water coming out onto the field.
Another humid day here in Chatham-Kent. And this is a key second down here defensively for the Chatham-Kent Cougars if they're able to get the ball back after that major foul against them, negating the interception and still keeping the Thunderbirds off of the scoreboard into the second quarter. That's going to be pretty big. And certainly if they can add on to this 21-0 lead, it's going to be nothing but positive vibes heading towards the end of this game.
Yeah, the one thing, you don't want to harp on it too much, but certainly the flags are an issue that have led to some changes in this game so far.
Again, rolling off to his right, quarterback able to find his man. Nice leaping grab and making the reception for the Forest City Thunderbirds. Coming down with that one, Ben Shanley. And a nice job by Shanley to bring this to a 1st and 10. And a key second down there for Forest City. And Shanley brought that one down almost a little bit overthrown.
Yeah, well, that is one of the plays you can certainly run with Chase Cornea since he's been running the ball so much, you can get him out of the pocket and you'll get the defense attacking because they're so used to him running. That'll open up some passing lanes for him. So if they can move Cornea out of the pocket where it looks like he is more comfortable, they could be effective passing the ball that way.
Now again, a fresh set of downs for the Thunderbirds as they have it on the ground and the Cougars defense swarming. Looks like they moved backwards.
Connor Martin on the tackle.
And they lost a yard there. So 2nd and 11 coming up here for Forest City.
Connor Martin throwing the running back down like he's a piece of trash right there. Not allowing him to get the corner. No offense to the running back, but Connor Martin's a strong man, showing that on that tackle.
Actually a loss of 3 on that game, on that play. So 2nd and 13 now.
2nd and 13, ball at the 39-yard line.
39 of the Cougars. And again, trying to run his way out of the pocket. He does so successfully, trying to get around a whole bunch of white and green jerseys. But that appears to be still shy of the first down by maybe 3 yards.
Eric DeMars had Cornea in his sights there, and Cornea just slipped the tackle. DeMars had him in the backfield, but Cornea showing his elusiveness there. And to this point, Cornea looks to be the offense for London. He's their quarterback, but he's also their running back, you would have to say, getting the majority of the carries and the most of the yards for this offense that London has.
And for the most part, the Cougars defense able to figure him out. Now, a bit of a fumble. Well, flag down around the 40-yard line, dropping a few yards on the 3rd and 4. And now flags coming out of everywhere. And
wow,
this might not be great news for the Cougars. We'll have to find out.
That looks like on the far side, Tristan Robinette, the defensive back, and one of the London players were getting into it, and we had a couple late flags come in right where the conversation was happening between the Cougars defender and the offensive player for London. The referee's talking it over right now. There was an original flag before that. Looked like it might have been a horse collar against the Cougars. And then those 2 late flags coming in the area where Tristan Robinette and the offensive player for London were having that conversation.
So we'll see how this sorts out. At the moment, it's 3rd down and 4. .846 left to go in this first half at the athletic complex in Chatham. And the Cougars, the healthy lead so far as referees chat about this one. I think they have a few things to sort through here, so they're talking through all of it.
They want to make sure they get the call right, and that's definitely what you want to see.
Well, first down.
Okay, so there you have it, offsetting personal foul calls against London and the Cougars. But then you also had the horse collar tackle by the Cougars, so that was the penalty that was enforced there because the first 2 penalties offset one another.
And now on 1st and 10, they keep it on the ground. Great field position here for the Forest City Thunderbirds as they look to get on the scoreboard here, down by 3 touchdowns, and that one maybe gaining a yard for Forest City.
2nd and 9, ball up the 14-yard line.
Matthew Cosen's now at quarterback, looks to go to the air, into the corner of the end zone, looking to get intercepted by the Cougars. And did he grab that in bounds?
And they're going to say yes. Tristan Robinette with the big pick there. As he went out of bounds in the end zone. Big interception from Tristan Robinette.
First down, Cougars.
And the Cougars still rolling along here, getting all of the gifts, if you will, as Cosins went deep into the end zone in that far corner, and right there, Robinette read it the entire way. Really, there were no Forest City Thunderbirds in the entire area.
No, just looked like a timing play there between the receiver and the quarterback, but the receiver nowhere there. Cosins on that play just basically picking a spot in the end zone where he expects the receiver to be and put the ball up in the air. But you mentioned it, Mike, nowhere in that vicinity aside from Tristan Robinette. And credit to Tristan making that catch. Wasn't an easy catch in the back of the end zone, and the Cougars avoid giving up any points on that positive drive from London.
Interception in the end zone, 20-yard line of the Cougars, already up by 21. They look to add to that lead before halftime. A reception along that far side, and it looks like a minimal gain as Dan Fox was pretty much wide open to receive that one. Minimal gain.
Pass complete to number 88, Dan Fox, good for a gain of 1 yard.
They're saying 1 for Fox. It's a second down and 9.
Yeah, just an easy throw and catch there. Kyle Ross right off the snap, throwing it to his receiver and trying to give Dan Fox a chance to make a man miss and try and pick up some easy yards. But a good job from the London defenders to negate any kind of a big pickup.
Ross once again back to pass along the far sidelines. He's got his man once again past the 35-yard line. And it looks like that should be enough for a first down.
I think that was Cole Herman there coming up with the big catch.
Cougars in no hurry here. 6:46 to go in the second quarter, up by 3 touchdowns.
Dan Fox, first down, Cougars.
Looking to maybe get as much time off the clock heading towards halftime, and a big lead.
Certainly what you don't want to see is the Cougars become complacent. Up 21-0, London having that effective drive. The first time we've really seen London drive the ball effectively this whole game, but that drive ending with the interception by the Cougars. You'd like to see the Cougars drive this ball down the field and just continue that positive momentum and increase that lead.
As Ross, he elects to keep it on the ground. Some room to move. Nice run all the way into Forest City territory. He's still running down the far sideline. And let's see how far he can get before he's finally brought down. Jonah Pataki once again with a giant run. He has had a good job on the ground all afternoon long. And Pataki going deep into Forest City territory with that giant run.
Boy, what a run by Jonah Pataki. About halfway through that run, he actually lost control of the ball. The ball pops up in the air, and he's able to regain control of it, tuck it back under his arm, and pick up another 20, 30 yards before he's finally brought down at what looks to be about the 10-yard line of Forest City. So a nice run there by Jonah Pataki. Some nice blocking up front by that offensive line, and a massive gain from the running back for the Cougars.
So after a start of their own 20 off the interception in the end zone, they find themselves at the 11 of Forest City. And Ross shoveling it off once again to Pataki at the last moment. And now he's met by a bunch of green and gold jerseys for perhaps a modest, very modest gain, if any. Getting maybe a couple there.
28, Jonah Pataki, ball carrier on the play, good for a gain of 3 yards.
Nice read there by the London defense that time. Again, Kyle Ross, it's a quarterback option, so he can keep that ball and run it if he thinks there's a lane there. If not, he just tosses the ball to the running back. That time that was Pataki, but the defender played it. He took he took Kyle Ross on the play, and he made him pitch the ball. And then the rest of the defenders were there to cover the run from Pataki.
And if you are the Thunderbirds playing a team like the Cougars with a fair bit of talent, you can't be giving them extra chances here with the turnovers.
Yeah, you're certainly right about that, Mike. And really, the Cougars would have at least one more. They had an interception that was called back on a flag. So yeah, it's as we mentioned, the Cougars are certainly a talented team, one of the more talented teams in the league. at the varsity level.
2nd and 7, ball at the
Sudbury is the top team in the standings. Sudbury's 5-0, the Predators 4-0, and then Huronia and Chatham-Kent are tied for 4th.
Lots of time for Ross to throw it in the end zone. It was broken up in the end zone. The flag is down, however.
There's a flag on the play.
Ross had a lot of time in the pocket to find somebody open, broken up that last moment. We'll see how this flag shakes down.
It was a nice job there by the London defense. That really should have been an interception. The defender right there, the ball hit him right in the hands, but the ball hits the ground, giving the Cougars another chance. It looks like the penalty going against London there. Looks like they're going to call that pass interference against London, so that could be one of the reasons that the defender had such good position.
Cougars will take it right on the 1.
First and goal, balls on the 1-yard line.
Trying to get another major score. They give it to Pataki, and he is in for the touchdown as the Cougars now extend their lead to 27 on the Forest City Thunderbirds. Pataki running it in from the 1, and his great afternoon continues.
That's 2 touchdowns now for Jonah Pataki on the day. And still 4:54 to go here in the first half.
Cougars having their way with the Thunderbirds. And Clark Green attempting his 4th point after. And another low snap, and they can't get the kick away. And it's going to remain a 27-0 lead after that snap was less than ideal.
Yeah, that snap, one hop to Kyle Ross, who's the holder. Ross just forced to pull it down and tuck and run. That was 2 straight snaps that have come in low. So you'd hope that the Cougars get that sorted out before the end of this game.
Still on the plus side, they're up 27-0 as Pataki with a 1-yard run. Look down the offensive side of things here for the Chatham-Kent Cougars, and a lot of young men having a pretty good afternoon. Lee Purnell, quarterback Kyle Ross looking pretty steady too and comfortable in the pocket, as you mentioned earlier on, Michael, and Blaine Bayshard having a couple of big plays too. So a number of different weapons on the offense for the Cougars. Hey, and on defense and special teams, it looked pretty sound. That's what translates into a 27-0 lead. Yeah,
that's right, and a strong 2-1-1 record. Obviously looking to improve to 3-1-1. The Cougars are in the season.
Now a line drive kick, and that one is going out of bounds around the 15 or thereabouts as flag comes down. 4:54 to go in this first half.
So of course you can't kick the ball out of bounds on the kickoff, so London will start with the ball on the 40-yard line. Good field position here for the Thunderbirds to start off.
First and 10 at their own 40-yard line.
Places the ball at the 40. And Forest City has had a couple of opportunities where they've had some good field position and the chance to add some momentum in their favor, but they just haven't had the plays go their way. A couple of turnovers here and there, snuffing out said momentum. Down by 27 in the waning few minutes of the first half as they keep it on the ground once again right up the middle, and a very minimal gain. Looks like that was a tackle by number 61, Mike Nicholson, as the running back goes up the middle.
Yeah, nice job by Nicholson shedding his blocker just as the running back comes through the hole, and Nicholson just swallows him up for a minimal gain of about two yards. And as we mentioned, that is a strong suit of the Cougars, is the interior of that defensive line. Not a lot of room to run in there. Nicholson shows you why right there.
2 yards for Giesler. 2nd down and 8, under 4 to go in the second quarter.
2nd and 8, ball at the 42-yard line.
2 touchdowns in each of the first 2 quarters. Offensively for the Cougars, quarterback again finding some trouble, a lot of pressure. He gets out of it off to his left and gets a lot of positive yardage. He's a tough one to bring down up to the 50-yard line of the Cougars. He gains a good 17 yards in that run. So initially, a lot of white and green jerseys in the face of Cornea, but give him a lot of credit. He was able to get out of that one and a big gain.
Yeah, about 3 guys had Cornea dead in their sights to bring him down, but Cornea showing his elusiveness right there, and likely one of the reasons he's playing quarterback, able to get out of harm's way and pick up some positive yards, and that was a big first down for London. For them to get some momentum on offense, we saw them on their last drive. They were able to get down deep into the Cougar zone before the interception. So London may be gaining some confidence here despite trailing 27-0.
At the Chatham-Kent 50, fresh set of downs for the Thunderbirds. Cornea back to pass. He's got a couple of Cougars right in his face, and that is going to set him back 10 yards. And a big sack by the defense for Chatham-Kent, and a 2nd and 20 coming up.
Number 66, Patrick Stewartson with the sack.
Mario Niclario and looked like it was Josh Schuin tag teaming there on the sack, and the big loss for London. That's a loss of about 9 yards on the sack. So a nice job by the Cougars defense. They've maintained the pressure in the face of Cornea, getting into that London backfield, making life tough on Cornea, the quarterback for the Thunderbirds.
Looks like a 10-yard penalty. Negating that sack, it is now 2nd and 10 for the Thunderbirds. And now an underthrown football still. Good job by the receiver to come back and get that one. That's going to be close to a first down, as Ben Shanley had to come backwards about 4 or 5 yards to make that a reception. It looks like he might actually be a yard short of the first down, a 9-yard pickup for the Forest City Thunderbirds.
And that's the 2nd big catch for Shanley in this game. And it looks like London's going to take a timeout here. And they are. London's taking a timeout with 2:24 to go in the first half. It's a big 3rd down. Third looks to be about a yard, maybe less than a yard. Obviously, London trailing 27-0. Would love to put some points in the board before half. So you'd imagine they'd be going for it here, 3rd and short.
Well, that 2nd and 20 didn't materialize for the Cougars after that big sack. And on the 2nd and 10, on the extra life they got, the Forest City Thunderbirds with a nifty little pass and catch. And then a good job by the receiver. Come back and get that one. Leaving them with a short 3rd and 1 to make up for. And as you mentioned, Michael, probably going for it after this timeout.
And a nice job by Shanley, the receiver for London, to hold on to that ball. He took a pretty good hit from a couple of Cougar defenders. And Shanley, not exactly the biggest receiver. He is 6'3", but he weighs in at only 170 pounds.
3rd and 1 now, ball at the 41-yard line.
So, not surprisingly, going for it on 3rd and 1. Thunderbirds looking for the first down, and a good job by the Cougars defense sending him backwards. I don't think he got it. I don't think he was anywhere close to getting it.
Although it might be a generous mark there from the referee. Taking a look at it. No, I don't know. That's going to be short.
That is
Great job by the Cougars defense.
Going the other way. Another turnover on downs. That gamble did not work for the T-Birds. So again, the Cougars getting the ball right back. 2:20 left to go in the 2nd quarter. And the first half, still a shutout, 27-0.
Wow, and you'd figure advantage London there on 3rd and very, very short. We mentioned maybe less than a yard, but they ran right into the teeth of that Cougars defense, and the Cougars defense showing why that is one of their strong points. Right up the middle, London deciding to attack the Cougars' strongest point, and the Cougars' defense wins that battle.
41-yard line of Chatham-Kent. The Cougars with another offensive series beginning right now. And a quick throw, and before he was able to get the throw away, play whistle down, and a flag.
I think that might be a procedure call against Chatham.
Ben Bartlett on the reception, but that is going to be negated by that flag. And it looks like it's a 1st and 15 coming up. Actually, that's going back a lot further. A 15-yard penalty against Chatham-Kent.
Objectionable conduct on that one there.
Wow, 15-yard penalty, so that changes the complexion big time. 1st and 25, all the way backed up to the 25-yard line for the Cougars. So a lot more real estate to cover now. Off the shotgun, looks like they're going to do a little reverse. And a lot of room to move along that far sideline. And still on his feet. Good athleticism there by Ben Bartlett. And we'll see the amount that he was able to gain on that play.
It's pretty good coverage from London there on the reverse. I believe that's the first time we've seen Ben Bartlett touch the ball. I think the Cougars there purposely trying to get the ball into Ben Bartlett's hands.
Only a 5-yard pickup from Bartlett on that one. Still 20 yards to go. And 2nd down. At their own 30-yard line. Back to pass once again. Flag is down. And that was thrown behind Bartlett.
That pass intended for Ben Bartlett falls incomplete. There are flags on the play.
2 flags on the play. The one coming looked like one of the Cougars was a little too eager to get started on that play, but then the second flag coming in where the ball was intended for the receiver, I think the second flag was going to go against the London defense for pass interference. So we'll see how this one shakes out.
1:49 to go in this first half. 27-0 the Cougars lead the Forest City Thunderbirds as the call was handed down. And do they offset?
No, it looks like they're negating the flag. They're saying there was no pass interference. I think they're saying that the ball was uncatchable. So they're picking up the 1 flag against London. Yeah. So they're canceling the flag that was going against London because they're going to say the ball was uncatchable. But then the other flag was against Chatham-Kent. And it was declined. So the Cougars now 3rd down. They're going to punt this ball away.
So not much doing on that drive for the Cougars. Still up 27-0. 1:49 to go in this opening half. And as Michael mentioned, they will kick this one away. Cougars with a timeout now. A 2-1-1 record off the hop here for the Cougars varsity squad. Different story for the Forest City Thunderbirds, and those 2 records and the different swings that the clubs are going into looks like it's going to maintain itself. Good start for the Cougars. Thunderbirds still off to a very rough start for 2012.
Yeah, still looking for their first win of the season. Forest City is. And we've mentioned Chatham-Kent 2-1-1. Coming off of their first loss of the season to the Tri-City Predators. Now, last week's loss to Tri-City Predators, just a 21-6 game. So obviously a tight game. Unfortunately, the the Cougars coming out on the losing end. But the Twin City Predators right now is sitting in second place, but that's only because they played one less game than Sudbury. Both Sudbury and the Predators are undefeated. Sudbury at 5-0, the Twin City Predators at 4-0. Then you've got Huronia, who's 3-0-1. And then you've got the Cougars tied with the Clarington Knights. Cougars, as I mentioned, 2-1-1, and Clarington 2-0-3. So Chatham-Kent essentially tied for fourth right now.
And a playoff spot. Still early to talk about that, however. And the bouncing puck comes to, or the puck, I should say, the ball comes down around the 45. But this is a great return here by Forest City, getting deep into the Cougar territory before finally being brought down around the 25. What a great return, Ian Burdett. Bringing that right across the field. So again, putting the Thunderbirds in great opening position to finally break through and get on the scoreboard.
But we do have a flag on the play here, and wouldn't be surprised if we see this one come back. Usually these go against the return team for an illegal block.
Burdett able to zigzag his way down the field around defenders. And they are walking backwards a little bit, so.
Well, from what we saw there from Ian Burdett, you'd think London would want to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. He showed some real elusiveness and speed on that return.
Speed and agility for Burdett. And are they replaying third down? They're going to redo the kick.
We're going to replay the third down now, 3rd and 10 from the 40-yard line.
So 3rd and 10 this time around. Kick is up high in the air and coming down around the 45. It hops backwards a little bit farther, and this time nowhere to go for the return team of the Forest City Thunderbirds. Burdett wrapped up a lot quicker that time around, so better field position for the defense of the Cougars this time around.
Boy, that was a big penalty against London. Now they'll start with the ball at their own 40-yard line instead of having the ball in Chatham-Kent Cougars territory with 1:23 to go here in the first half. So that was a big turnaround. Potentially London looked like they were in scoring position to start that drive. Now they're at their own 40-yard line and a lot of real estate ahead of them.
Trying desperately somehow to get onto the scoreboard here before halftime. And 1:23 left to work with here in this first half.
1st and 10, balls at the 41-yard line.
Back in the shotgun once again. Cornea looking back to pass up the middle, intercepted right off the bat. Cougars bringing it into Forest City territory and past the 40-yard line. Alistair Coy with the interception, and Coy bringing it inside the 40.
Oh, nice job by Coy, just reading the quarterback's eyes and really threw it right to his numbers. Coy does a good job holding onto it, and then a decent return on the interception. And the Cougars with another chance to put up a score here before the end of this first half. Which, as a side note, possibly seems like the longest first half I've seen of football.
Well, it's a very long second quarter. The first quarter seemed to go okay, but this second quarter is dragging on, for a lack of a better term.
Cougars ball at the 39-yard line.
Penalties, a couple of injury timeouts here and there, and we're still 1:12 away from halftime. Once again, up the middle for the Cougars, and another great reception. Bayshard going towards the end zone, still on his feet. Touchdown! Blaine Bayshard, and a great pass from Kyle Ross. And just like that, a 33-0 lead for the Cougars now, as Kyle Ross hit Blaine Bayshard right in the numbers, and Bayshard staying on his feet, getting rid of a couple of tacklers, and going for 6.
Boy, that's the second time we've seen Blaine Bayshard come up with an impressive catch right in the middle of the field where he knows he's going to get popped by the safety, but refuses to back down, makes the big catch, takes the hit, and then rumbles into the end zone. Great job by Blaine Bayshard, showing he's fearless, going over the middle of the field and making a couple of strong catches.
And again, some problems on the snap and the point after. And for the second consecutive time, the Cougars will have to settle for just 6. There's a flag down.
That's the third straight snap that we've seen on the extra point that's taken at least one hop before it got back to the holder. Not sure if they've got their regular snapper in there. I understand they don't, I'm being told here in the booth.
Quite simply, no.
So that could obviously be a contributing factor. Well, if that's the case, it's a good chance for somebody else to expand the role and pick up an extra skill.
Penalty declined. It's a 33-0 lead now for the Cougars. Despite those 2 missed point afters, still a giant lead for the Cougars. 1:03 to go until halftime. And Blaine Bayshard, pass caught from Kyle Ross, and he was able to get into the end zone, rumbling in for another 6 points. So a big day on offense, only halfway through this football game for the Cougars. And perhaps being lost in all of this, the defense doing just as well for Chatham-Kent.
Yeah, they have come up with some big stops, a couple of interceptions. That one of those interceptions just setting up that big touchdown pass catch from Kyle Ross to Blaine Bayshard. The big pick by Alistair Coy.
Clark Green getting ready to kick this one away. And the kick is up. One bounce. Picked up by Forest City. And once again, trying to turn the corner and get away from a bunch of defenders. This time again unsuccessfully. And wrapped up by the defense for Chatham-Kent.
Number 37, Ian Burdett returns.
And Burdett
4-yard line. First down, Thunderbirds.
with one very good kick return, but that was negated by a penalty. And since the Cougars special teams seem to have figured him out.
Yeah, a good tackle there by Tristan Robinette on the outside. Not allowing Burdett to get the corner.
So 54 seconds to go in this second quarter, 24-yard line of the Thunderbirds.
Come on, T-Bird! Pick up, T-Bird!
They keep it on the ground right up the middle and getting some pretty good yardage. Not far away from a first down. Keeping it on the ground, Jamie Giesler.
Giesler, 5'10". They've got him listed as 152, although he looks like he's a little heavier than that, built lower to the ground.
But a yard and a half shy of the first down.
Second and 1 now, ball at the 33-yard line.
On 2nd and 1, running back has some room to move, and it looks like he'll have enough. Giesler on the ground for the first time, or for the first down this time around, and that will move the chains. But only 11.3 seconds to work with in this first half.
First down, Thunderbirds.
And just one more play to go in the opening half.
Yeah, and you got to expect anything here, perhaps a trick play, hook and ladder, just airing something out down the field.
Quarterback looking to pass down the field. Couple of Cougars uniforms in the area, almost brought down for the interception by number 19, Nathan McIntyre, but just out of his fingertips, and that is finally going to wrap up the first half of football here at the Chatham-Kent Athletic Complex. Good first half by the Cougars. Couple of missed opportunities, but still a very, very large lead heading into halftime, 33-0. They lead the Forest City Thunderbirds, as we'll be back with second half action in just a few minutes. Chatham-Kent Cougars football. Mike Renier, Mike James, Jeff Brooks on the camera here with TV Cogeco. Start of the second half here at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex. Chatham-Kent Cougars football continues on TV Cogeco. Mike Renier, Mike James, Jeff Brooks on the camera this afternoon. 33-0. The Cougars having an outstanding first half of football. Yeah,
quite a first half for the Cougars, obviously dominating, not allowing London's offense to get on the scoreboard. On the flip side, the Cougars not really having much difficulty getting into the end zone. Really, if you were going to say anything about the first half, you'd like to see the Cougars clean up the flags a little bit. And on the London side of things, really just anything positive. They did move the ball a couple times on offense, but for the most part, only their quarterback's been the threat.
Cougars looking to stretch this lead even further. They get the football to begin the third quarter, and the ball will be past their own 40-yard line, around the 41 or thereabouts. 5 seconds into the second half. And a nice afternoon here at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex. Cougars looking to run the record to 3-1-1 if they're able to hang on to this lengthy, large lead here against Forest City Thunderbirds, who have not won a game yet this season, and things going a little rough for 2012.
Yeah, they've certainly had their share of problems so far this season, and not getting any better here today in Chatham here at the Athletic Complex. Interesting, obviously, with the big lead, 33-0, gives maybe some players that don't get to see the field quite as much a chance to get some more playing time and hone their skills. But sometimes it can be a little bit difficult getting your team motivated in the second half of a game that seems to be out of reach.
First drive on offense, pitching it off to the right, and not getting to the line of scrimmage. Blaine Bayshard wasn't able to turn the corner and get any positive yards on that one. Actually, my apologies. I think he did pick up one, but a minimal game there for Bayshard. And second down and long coming up here for the Cougars.
Good tackle there from Derek Coleman, the defensive back. Cutting down the big man Bayshard down low.
Back to pass on second down, and that one off the mark from Kyle Ross. Maybe 2 yards or thereabouts out of the reach of Pataki. So 2 and out here for the Cougars, so they will kick it away. 50 seconds into this second half, so London will get their first crack on offense, trying to chip away at this 33-point deficit.
There's a bit of a scary pass there from Kyle Ross, trying the swing pass, but it was nearly a backwards pass. That was nearly a live ball, but the referees say no, that was a forward pass, so they blow it dead. But that could have been a dangerous situation there for the Cougars, but luckily it wasn't a backward pass, so the ball wasn't live, and they get a chance to punt it away here with Clark Green.
Green with a high snap, and he's able to kick it away. That is a powerful kick. Oh my, from Clark Green. He got all of that one. And now very deep in his own territory. The speedy return man for the Forest City Thunderbirds. Not getting much there, Ian Burdett. And a flag down. That could be against the Cougars.
Boy, what a massive kick by Clark Green. Just a towering shot. The return man forced to retreat and pick the ball up at about the 2-yard line. And he didn't get much more after that. Now we'll have to see where the flag, it looks like that flag going against the Cougars. And it's an objectionable conduct call. So that penalty, 15 yards on the Cougars. So that improves London's field position for sure. They would have been deep in their own zone had there not been that penalty.
Ball now rests at the 25-yard line for Forest City. That's where they begin this drive, their first go at offense in the second half. And Cordia to pass it and almost intercepted, or was it intercepted along that far side? It looks like it was once again, and I believe that's the second interception for Alistair Coy on the afternoon. So right off of that penalty on the special teams for the Cougars, they make that not matter.
Good call there, Mike. That was Alistair Coy, his second pick of the day. His first pick actually came at the end of the first half. There was translated into a touchdown for the Cougars, so we'll see if the Cougars can turn this one into a major as well. But a nice job by Alistair Coy, stepping in front of the intended receiver and picking off that pass from Cornea and giving the Cougars offense the ball in prime field position here at the London, looks to be about the London 42-yard line.
So the Cougars get the football right back very, very quickly off of that interception. Yet another one. And a high snap brought down by the quarterback, Ross. They keep it on the ground and trying to get to the outside and doing so successfully. And a nice pickup there by the running back, Pataki. Looks like he still has about 2 or 3 to pick up for the first down. And the Cougars looking for more here. And a lot of things for the Forest City squad to work on heading towards the middle part of this regular season, but the interceptions are just not helping matters whatsoever.
No, certainly not. And nice running game today from the Cougars. Nice balance actually on offense. The Cougars passing and running. It was a nice run there by Pataki, just working his way down the line, using that speed to get outside. And a nice stiff arm to get around the corner and pick up 8 on first down.
Ross again at the shotgun. Another high snap, brings it down, keeps it on the ground. And the big body Elite Purnell touching that one. And that looks like that will be enough to move the chains. First down coming up here for the Cougars once again. You can certainly pick Purnell out of a crowd. He's got the size.
It's interesting how they've expanded the role of Lee Purnell from what we've seen here at since the last home game. I don't think we saw him line up in the backfield like that before as a running back. And he gets the handoff, and as you mentioned, he's pretty easy to pick out in a crowd because of his size, but also his upright running style. You know, usually the running back's not quite so upright because they have to absorb the big hits, but Purnell obviously effective running the football.
6'4". Cougars keeping it on the ground once again and getting around a couple of defenders. Flag is now down, but still a good run by Blaine Bayshard. We'll see if this one counts or not.
Number 5, Blaine Bayshard, the ball carrier on the play, is in his end zone, but there is a flag on the play.
Yeah, it was a nice run by Bayshard getting into the end zone, dragging a would-be tackler for a bit. It looks like this one might come back, though, against the Cougars. The referee's talking it over, though. You wonder if they might pick this one up.
Bayshard able to get it past everyone. Already up by 33. We'll see how the referees discuss this one and the verdict they come up with. Bayshard's had a good day on the ground tonight. This afternoon, I should say. Jonah Pataki getting some great carries, too. And it's going to be holding against the Cougars.
Yeah, just as Bayshard was able to get the corner around the corner there, one of the blocks, he got the referees calling it a hold, and that's why Bayshard was able to turn that into a big gainer and get into the end zone. So that hold brings that touchdown run back. That's a big penalty. That's a well, the ball is now spotted at just shy of the London 40-yard line. Let's call it maybe the 38-yard line. That's a 38-yard penalty and 6 points off the board.
It's a big swing for sure. 33-0 Cougars do have a giant lead. 1st and 20, though. A lot of work to be done here to keep this drive alive. And another high snap brought down by Ross. And Purnell able to bring that along the far side. And he'll gain a couple of yards. Looks like a 3-yard pickup. He gets as far as the 30, the 34 is where they're spotting that ball. Five-yard pickup. So second down and 15 to go. Under 10 to play here in this third quarter. Again, Ross in the shotgun gets the snap, and right off the bat here, he didn't see the two defenders of the Forest City squad right in his face. The O-line couldn't contain those two defenders and brought down for a big sack there. Ross slammed to the turf, and now there is a flag.
I believe this flag is going against the bench of the Cougars. I don't think they were happy with the tackle by Jordan Field on the sack. I think they felt like it was a hit to the head of the quarterback. And I believe that objectionable conduct call going against the bench of the Cougars.
So that'll bring the ball backwards. Another pile of yards. So without a doubt, the Cougars will bring the punt team on the field and kick it away.
Well, remember, Clark Green just booted a boomer the last time he was out here. He'll put this one in the air from his own 48-yard line.
Doesn't need quite the same juice this time around, but still he's able to send that one out of bounds. Pretty close to the 5. So still spotted well by Clark Green, but the kick before that, as you mentioned, Michael, he just got all of that football, and that might have been one of the most impressive kicks he's ever done.
That was a nice kick there as well by Clark, measuring that one nicely so it pins London deep in their own end. Looks like they're going to start with this ball on about their own 5-yard line. So a great directional punt by Clark Green, and that's what a good special teams, good kicking game can do for you. You can win that field position battle by aiming that ball where you want to put it and putting the opposing offense in a tough position.
All facets of the game for the Cougars this afternoon doing exceptionally well in a 33-0 huge lead over the Forest City Thunderbirds from their own 5, scrambling to find somebody open, and that pass actually hits the goalpost. An incomplete pass trying to find a relatively wide open Jamie Giesler off to his left, but the pass a little bit off kilter there, hitting the goalpost and falling incomplete.
It was a nice play call from London too, having everybody move out to the right side. A little misdirection, looking to throw it back across the field to the receiver, and they did have a couple blockers out there. That could have potentially turned into a big gainer, but that ball hitting the upright and negating that play.
Something you only find on Canadian football fields as opposed to the American way of things. And now they've brought the football out. There's actually a big penalty against Chatham-Kent. So now the Cougars shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, again with the penalty flag.
Yeah, roughing the passer call there going against Chatham-Kent.
I didn't see the flag fly there.
Nor did I. That was on the far side of the field, a lot of traffic back there, and just couldn't see it from this angle.
So another break of sorts for the Thunderbirds.
And another flag has just hit the field now. The Cougars losing their composure here. Surprisingly, up 33-0 and losing their composure a little bit with a couple flags.
So now it's at the 30. So another 10 yards on a penalty. So they go from the 5-yard line of Forest City, an incomplete pass, and seconds later they find themselves, thanks to a couple of successive penalties, on the 30 and a first and 10.
That's not exactly how you draw it up.
That's not the most common scenario in football.
But you'll take it if you can get it.
If you're the Forest City squad, you'll take it. You'll take anything down 33 to zip with 8:44 to go in this third quarter. Fair number of orange flags that we have seen here this afternoon, not even 3 quarters through this game. The varsity squad looking to stretch to 3-1-1 in this season against a winless Thunderbird team. It looks like they're well on their way to that. But some favorable flags against Chatham-Kent, and the Thunderbirds have a incomplete pass there. A lot of pressure on the quarterback, Cordia.
That pass falls incomplete.
Second and 10.
Still at the 30-yard line.
Looks like the Cougars sending a blitz there on the right side of the defensive line. Looked like that might have been Matt Wilder. Oh, it was Josh Wood? Josh Ewan, sorry, I'm being told Josh Ewan coming off the edge. The clear path to the quarterback, and he gets a piece of Cornea just as he's looking to get rid of that football. Referee's calling it an incomplete pass. But Ewan showing he can get to the quarterback. And one of the big hitters certainly on that Cougars defense.
On 2nd and 10 for Forest City. Scrambling off to his right, trying to find somebody open, or actually keeping it himself. Cornea trying to get to first down territory on his own, as we have seen a number of times this afternoon, just the quarterback doing it himself. And it looks like he did not get where he needed to be for first down yardage. He looks to be maybe 2 yards short. So 3rd and 2 coming up. And it looks like the Thunderbirds have nothing to lose here, but to just keep going for it.
Cornea is showing his wheels there. Ewan had a clear path again, but Cornea outrunning Ewan that time off the right side. And a nice positive gain from Cornea. As we've mentioned all game long, Cornea showing he's got some speed and a bit of elusiveness at that quarterback position. Really, the challenge has been putting the ball in the air.
3rd down, a long yard to move the chains here for Forest City. Now a fumble on the snap, but he still recovers, and he is able to get up the middle for a first down. And Cornea keeps it. A little bit of problems off the snap, but he was able to keep his composure and rumble through for about 3 yards or thereabouts. Lots for the first down, so Cornea still doing it himself for the most part on offense for the Thunderbirds. 1st and 10.
Yeah, nice job by the quarterback there. You'd think he's dead in the water after dropping that snap, but maintained his composure, scooped it up, and just kept his forward momentum going, kept those legs pumping and churning, and enough to gain the first down.
1st and 10.
Able to trust his O-lineman to do their thing and let him get through. They've been few and far between, but a first down for the boys from London. And Cornea fakes the handoff, goes in the air, and it is complete along the far sidelines. A huge gain, and nice tackle there along the far sideline. That prevents it from being a touchdown for Forest City. And a little slow to get up there for the Cougars. The defensive back who made the tackle, actually can't see the number at the exact moment.
I believe it was Alistair Coy.
McIntyre, Nathan
apologies.
McIntyre making that tackle. Looks to be a little worse for wear along the far side.
And that is the 3rd big catch that we've seen from Bedden Shanley, number 78. Just seems to make come up big when they need a big catch.
1st and 10. Ball at the 11-yard
For
line.
London, that's the 3rd big gainer he's had this game.
So a little flicker of life on offense this afternoon for Forest City. And again, they keep it on the ground and around along the near side. And Cornea getting a few yards. Trying to get to the end zone for the very first time here this afternoon, winding down to the final 5 minutes of this 3rd quarter, and a 33-0 lead for Chatham-Kent.
Well, with this big lead and London now knocking on the door for their first score, this is where it kind of becomes a little bit more about pride, not wanting anybody to get into your end zone and potentially pitching a shutout. But at the very least, not allowing somebody to score a major. So the Cougars, you would expect, plenty motivated here to not allow a touchdown.
2-yard pickup on that last go around on the ground, and this time running back not going anywhere, going backwards and stuffed. Jamie Giesler going nowhere as the Cougars seeing that one from a mile away. So 3rd down coming up here for the Forest City Thunderbirds. And it looks like they're going to switch up their units here.
Nice job by Eric DeMar shooting the gap up the middle, the linebacker, number 34. making the tackle on the running back. Not allowing any gain. And London right now, I think, just happy to try to put some points on the board with the field goal attempt.
Just trying to break up the shutout right now with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. The kick is up. And it is through. 33-3 now the score.
Matthew Cousins complete the 17-yard field goal. Score 33 for the Chatham-Kent Cougars and 3 for the Thunderbirds.
Still a 30-point difference here. The Cougars up by a large margin, 3:59 to go in this third quarter. But the shutout does come to an end after, by all intents and purposes, a decent drive there for the Thunderbirds, at least by today's standards.
Well, and you have to remember, too, that drive started back on the 5-yard line. So, yes, the Cougars did give them some free yards for sure.
A lot of free yards.
A lot of free yards to start that drive on an incomplete pass. But nonetheless, London, give them credit, they turned that into points. They did start on their own 5-yard line, managed to put 3 points on the board. So London finally getting some points on the board for them. And the Cougars got to be happy not allowing them to get into the end zone after that big pass and catch that got them down to about the 10-yard line.
So 33-3 now, the score. Cougars still well in control of this football game, the waning moments of this third quarter. And Chatham-Kent getting the football back. Having some issues keeping the ball upright on the tee.
As we've been mentioning, there has been a breeze here throughout the day. It looks to be picking up a little bit. It has been swirling, changing directions down on the field, though.
Some darker clouds. Been threatening a couple of times here this afternoon, but overall it's been a very nice afternoon for football. In a quadruple header at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex. All 4 classes in action here this afternoon in the Alumni Day. Kick is now a line drive one on the ground off of the foot of one of the Cougars, but they're still able to keep possession as Curtis Robichaud able to fall on it. And from around the 40-yard line, the Cougars will take over on offense, up by 30.
Number 33, Curtis Robichaud.
It's a good field position there to start for Chatham-Kent. And just interesting to take a look to see what the Cougars were going to do at quarterback, see if they were going to make any changes. But it looks like Kyle Ross has come out once again for this offensive possession, with this game seemingly out of hand, 33-3 with less than 4 minutes to go in the third quarter.
First and 10, ball is at the 38-yard line.
38's where they spot it. Cougars in their own territory. And Ross able to pitch it off to the right. And once again, rumbling with it is Bayshard trying to turn the corner, and he gets to around the 43-yard line. And a pickup of close to 5 for Bayshard on the ground.
I like Bayshard's style of running. He's got some size, but he uses that to his advantage, not only trying to run people over, but also as a deceptive runner. You would think a man maybe that size, not quite as fast, and he kind of fools the defensive pairings a little bit. When they come up to tackle him, he'll use that stutter step, and I don't think anybody thinks that he's got that next gear, but he does. Bayshard can move pretty well for a big running back and gain those extra yards when he turns on the jets.
On 2nd and 6, they keep it on the ground and only able to maybe get a yard or 2 out of it. Still well short of the first down. As that one was touched by Pataki once again, who's had a good day running the football. But 3rd and 4, the Cougars will have to punt this one away.
Yeah, a couple touchdowns for Pataki today. Help contributing to that big lead. A couple nice big runs. Bayshard, we mentioned, has had a pretty big day as well. A couple big catches over the middle, a touchdown.
At the 44-yard line.
It looks like the wind's going to be at the back slightly here for Clark Green.
And another high snap, but no problem for Green with that tall frame. He gives it another big boot, falls down around the 25 thereabouts, bouncing out. Looks to be around the 12 or thereabouts.
That's a nice kick there from Clark Green. Once again, nice job by Clark Green today. Great directional kicking job. That's another one where he's pinned them deep. So London going to take over from their own 12.
he had some quiet success in the first half, but Green has really shone through here in this third quarter with some monstrous kicks and well-placed ones too.
Yep, just adds fuel to the fire for the defense to be able to tee off on London's offense, knowing that they've got them pinned deep. So the key will be the defense stepping up and making London pay for that.
1:56 and counting to go.
1st and 10, ball at the 12-yard line.
In the third quarter. Forest City pinned deep. The wind continually picking up here late in this third quarter. Now scrambling, trying to find somebody open, and in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. That one, Ben Shanley, who's actually had a pretty good afternoon on the receiving side of things. It's pretty wide open, but he just mistimed the catch.
It looked like the ball just went right through his hands. He had that one and went right through his hands. Looked like it went right off his helmet, and it was actually lucky that fell incomplete. That ball popping up in the air, and a chance for any defenders in the area to make an interception, but nobody able to get there in time, and that's Ben Shanley's first drop. We've seen him, as you mentioned, make a couple big catches in this game, but that time just couldn't squeeze that one in.
Forest City needing that reception to kind of climb out of a deep hole here, deep in their own territory, but it's still 2nd and 10. 12-yard line is where the ball rests, and $1:20 away from the fourth quarter. And another play in the air, and that one out of the reach of Nicholas Bolos as he was cutting across towards the middle of the field and well out of his reach. So another incomplete pass, 3rd and 10 coming up here for the Forest City Thunderbirds. Very frustrating day for those boys in green and gold. Again, looking to kick this one away from deep in their own territory. They'll be kicking it from very close to the goal line.
And into the wind at that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them concede a point here and play the field position.
And Michael, you got it exactly. That's what they do.
I should say the 2 points because it counts as a safety.
Number 7, Matthew Cousins takes a knee in the end zone. Sees the 2 points, score 35 for the Cougars, 3 for the Thunderbirds.
So 44 seconds to go in this third quarter. And a 35-3 lead now.
Well, it's a smart play from London. Obviously, the Cougars were going to have extremely good field position. Had London punted there, we mentioned the wind was in their face and they were going to be kicking from their own end zone. So they concede the 2 points, but now they'll get to kick the ball from their own 35 and obviously greatly improve their chances here of defending their end zone.
Just over a quarter away from their third victory this regular season. They will return home to the athletic complex behind Chatham-Kent Secondary School on the 8th of July as Burlington will be in town. We'll talk more about that game here after the kick. Or actually, maybe we'll have a little bit of time here to talk about it right now. But Burlington, the Stampeders, will be in town for a 4 o'clock kickoff on the 8th of July. Next home game for the varsity squad of the Chatham-Kent Cougars. We hope you can make it down to enjoy Cougar football and all the classes. We're all in action today, all 4 at home on Alumni Sunday. Ball rests around the 30-yard line, picked up by the Cougars. And Pataki will bring it past the 50-yard line, finally shoved out of bounds by Ganga.
20 yards, first down.
Nice 20-yard pickup there on the return on that kick. Down to 39 seconds to go in this third quarter. And again, good field position for the Cougars to continue their offensive onslaught this afternoon.
We were just getting some word there. The July 8th game, I understand, being switched to Wallaceburg, we're being told.
That's right, too. So I did know that, and I misspoke. I misspoke. We'll be in Wallaceburg. And another run up the middle here for the Cougars, and a lot of room to move. Once again, heading towards pay dirt. Can he keep in bounds towards the end zone? He's finally tripped out around the 22-yard line as the running back Jonah Pataki finding all kinds of holes in the defense for City, and a giant gain there for Pataki, who's having a stellar game. Great afternoon on the ground. So Pataki, another very large gain, and up to the 22-yard line, it looks like.
About a 35-yard gain on that run there from Pataki. And again, the Cougars looking very balanced on offense today. Some nice play at the quarterback position from Kyle Ross. A nice running game, very balanced with Pataki, Bayshard, and don't forget Lee Purnell as well. Some big carries today. Bayshard's had some big catches. Yeah,
sorry, Michael. Very widespread attack on offense for the Cougars as they keep it on the ground. And Pataki once again with a couple of yards right up the gut. And second and mid-range coming up.
Yeah, the Cougars certainly a dangerous team on offense. They've seen success both in the air and on the ground, and very, very good special teams, and a reason why the Cougars are a strong team competing for the division here this year.
So now we have 3 quarters officially in the books. We're starting the 4th quarter and a healthy 35-3 lead for the Cougars as they lead the visiting Forest City Thunderbirds, who are still looking for their first victory of this 2012 regular season in the Ontario Football Conference. Cougars, probably just a formality now in this 4th quarter that they will improve to 3-1-1 as they'll head on the road. And again, return to Chatham-Kent on the 8th of July, but it will be in Wallaceburg, not their normal field here, the athletic complex. So do keep that in mind. July 8th, they will be playing in Wallaceburg as Burlington. The Stamps will be in the municipality for still a home game for the Cougars. So keep that in mind. Wallaceburg is where the game will be on the 8th of July. Pass play, it is complete along that far sideline, bringing that one down. I believe that was in inbounds. Lee Purnell using the 6'4" frame to bring that down. Tallest player on the Cougars roster by at least a couple of inches. Purnell, a very useful receiver.
It's nice as a quarterback to have a big target like that to throw to. Easy to spot. And good hands, so it's nice to know that you've got a trustworthy receiver with that size that you can count on, especially as we mentioned in traffic. He's outstanding catching the ball in traffic.
3rd down and 3. Here's a attempt for 3 points, and it is good. Everything working on offense here this afternoon as Green is using his foot to a great advantage here this afternoon. Great second half for sure for Clark Green. He's able to boot that one through the uprights. 38-3, a 35-point lead now for the Cougars early on in this 4th quarter.
It's a great weapon to have when you've got a strong kicking game, and we've seen it here displayed today. He's been able to pin London deep in their own end of the field a couple of times, and then they're showing you his leg strength. That kick coming, going into the wind slightly, and no problem. And key on that play as well was the strong snap. Perfect snap. We've seen some problems today on the snap on the extra points. That time, no problem. A perfect snap and able to get it down, and a nice kick from Clark Green, easily putting that through the uprights and giving the Cougars the 38-3 lead.
Looks like we'll be able to get this game in, maybe between some showers here. Still a Bantam Cougars game to get to here tonight. 7:30 opening kickoff. All 4 classes of Cougars underway at home this afternoon on Alumni Day, and keeping this one on the ground for the Forest City Thunderbirds. Not much to room to move along that far side. Cougars defense, even in a 35-point lead, still doing a very good job to snuff out any success on offense for Forest City. 1-yard loss on that one, going backwards. 2nd and 11. 34-yard line of Forest City, who will continue their winless streak to begin the 2012 season. Cougars still very much in the playoff hunt. I know you get another 3 or 4 games of the regular season left after today, but you start to have that in the back of your mind creeping in around now, the playoffs. And they'll still be holding down a spot, hoping to continue their success. Pass along the far side, reception. As the quarterback, Cornea, finds his man.
And London just hasn't been able to get their passing game going today. We've seen maybe 3 or 4 nice balls from Cornea. One big passing play that we've seen. But off the top of my head, really, to be honest with you, I don't think we've seen we've seen one passing play, perhaps over 15 yards. Everything else has really been a short passing play or a run from Cornea has really been the most effective play that we've seen from London so far today.
Didn't take long for the Cougars to etch out a strategy on defense. Now on 3rd down, they fake the punt, trying to pick up the first down. And they did. On 3rd and 7, pass is complete from Cornea. And one of those rare times on offense that they're able to pick up a passing play when they needed it most.
That's the 2nd time today we've seen them go with the fake punt. The first time it did fall incomplete. But this time, London, as you mentioned, successful in the conversion. And they'll keep this drive alive.
47-yard line inching towards midfield here. Forest City Thunderbirds down by 35. And just a shade over 11 minutes to go in this 4th quarter. Off the snap again, quarterback Cornea finding his man open. That is a reception, and it looked like the receiver was able to haul that one down and trying to pass it himself. But Ben Shanley wasn't able to get that football away again, and he was wrapped up for a loss. That's going to set him back maybe 3 yards, 4 yards.
Ladies and gentlemen, this game's being
4-yard loss.
by TechNet Auto Service, having car problems.
2nd and 14 coming up. So a completion, but going backwards from Chase Cornea to Shanley.
Well, when you look at Ben Shanley, he's certainly been the one of the bright spots for this offense. And depending on one thing you'd like to see moving forward for Shanley is he's got that tall frame, which you like to see from the receivers at 6'3", but comes in just weighing 170. So if he can pack some muscle on that frame, he'll certainly be a threat.
Cornea up the middle, intercepted by the Cougars once again. He overthrew his intended receiver, and the Cougars pick it off. Reading that one well, Eric Frappier, I believe his first official interception. He had one, I believe that was called back on a penalty in the first half, but Frappier, that one's going to count.
Nice shot by Frappier, just playing center field, reading the quarterback's eyes, stepping in front of the intended receiver and hauling that ball in, and a nice return as well. Frappier using his speed to gain some yards on the return. And if you remember 2 weeks ago here back at home, it was Frappier's big interception return. It was, if I remember correctly, 113 yards. He returned a big interception for a touchdown to give the Cougars a tie in that game.
The big tie late in the 4th quarter. That's how it ended up. Now on offense once again for the Cougars. A big pass play up the middle. And once again, using the size of Lee Purnell and the good hands, Purnell brings that one down for a big first down. Closer still to the end zone.
Lee Purnell, first down, Cougars.
He's just so hard to defend if you're a defender. With that 6'4" frame, he can just shield you off of him with his body. And obviously Kyle Ross having no troubles finding him, just putting that ball right on his hands.
Ross, lots of time to get that football away. Another pass completion heading towards the end zone. And a flag coming down at the end of that play.
They are signaling touchdown. We'll have to see what the flag is.
Well, Kyle Ross, as the game has progressed, looking increasingly calm and collected in the pocket, just getting a lot of time to get the passes away.
The referees are still talking this one over in the far corner. We'll have to see what the flag is. I believe it was Lee Purnell who had the catch.
Rather lengthy conversation in the end zone by the officials. Confirming up here in the booth, it was Purnell who was able to bring that one down. Now will it stand?
Well, it's nice when we can work as a team up here because you don't always have the best vantage point when you're talking the far side of the field.
Good crew up here in the broadcast booth, the athletic complex. Now we get the call as the refs are explaining it to a couple of Cougars players. And it is going to stand. It is a touchdown. And I think maybe some penalty yards assessed on the upcoming kickoff. But that one's going to stand, it looks like, from Purnell, bringing that one down to the end zone. And another huge major score here for the Cougars, 44-3.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's Lee Purnell's second touchdown of this game. So a big day for Lee Purnell here against London. Of course, he got things started today with the big 42-yard touchdown run on the very first play on offense for the Cougars.
I think a number of multi-touchdown games on offense for the Cougars here. Three Cougars maybe with at least a couple of touchdowns.
Bayshard has 2 today. Purnell has 2. Jonah Pataki
thought Pataki had a couple
has
as well.
2. My apologies. I think I got Pataki and Bayshard confused. I think Bayshard has 2. Sorry, Pataki has 2. Bayshard has 1.
45 points up on the boards here for the Cougars, 45-3. If my math is anywhere close to being correct, 9 touchdowns?
I'm going to clarify
that right?
one more time.
6 touchdowns. That's so my math is horrible. My math is clearly horrible. 6 touchdowns. I knew 9 would be in the 60s. I need to go back to math class at Chatham-Kent Secondary School. Clearly, we'll have Mr. Sinclair teach me. I've got detention waiting for me tomorrow. If you need math tips, do not come to me.
Get your math tips at MikeRenier.com.
No, that's not going to happen anytime soon. My multiplication table's clearly disastrous.
Well, I'm going to clarify the touchdowns because I butchered that. Lee Purnell has 2 touchdowns today. Jonah Pataki has 2 touchdowns, and Blaine Bayshard has 1 touchdown.
And touchdowns not worth 5 points.
That's correct.
Yeah. So there you go. 6 touchdowns. Still very impressive for the Cougars on offense this afternoon.
And right, Kyle Ross does have a rushing touchdown today. Quarterback for the Cougars. He's had a big day.
Kick is up after that touchdown for the Cougars, and now a little bobble by the London squad, and I think the Cougars are able to recover this football deep into Forest City territory. Now the T-Birds unable to come down with that football cleanly. So the Cougars are going to go back on offense right away in a 45-3 lead.
Looks like that was Alistair Coy with the big recovery. A nice job there from the Cougars. Looks like Clark Green likely just chose a player on that London return squad that he thought might have troubles catching that ball, or maybe he saw a weak spot, targeted that area, and picked a good spot because they weren't able to hold on to it, and the Cougars able to jump onto that ball and go back on offense.
The 20 of Forest City. Ross still under center. He takes a snap, keeps it on the ground right up the middle for Pataki, looking to add on to his yards for this afternoon, finding some open space along the far side, and he rumbles in for another touchdown with Jonah Pataki. Again, more points for him this afternoon. And a 51-3 stomping now for the Cougars.
And Pataki's third touchdown of this game, a nice 20-yard saunter into the end zone, using that speed to get outside, breaks up the middle, finds a blocker, and then just uses that speed to get to the corner inside that far pylon. And Pataki with a 3-touchdown game today. One more and he'll have the Al Bundy special.
Clark Green able to get another point on the board. He has been a busy fella kicking the football this afternoon. 52-3 for the Varsity Cougars, as you can pretty much put that one in ink. A 3-1 record when the final horn sounds here this afternoon. 8.5 minutes away from another victory for the Cougars as they bounce back from last week's loss.
Well, you like the response from this Chatham-Kent squad after that loss last week. Again, we mentioned it was a tough loss, 21-6. It was a close game on the road, which obviously always plays a factor. Never easy to go on the road and get a win. And it was against the Twin City Predators, who have a 4-0 record so far this season. So obviously it was up against a quality squad, 2 quality teams, and unfortunately Chatham-Kent coming out on the losing end. But when you're talking about a 21-6 game, just 1 or 2 plays can change the outcome of a game like that. So the Cougars, you like the response that you've seen here today. Obviously London has had their struggles, but nonetheless you still have to play the games. And Chatham-Kent playing a good solid game here today and running away with this one now here in the 4th quarter.
Green on the kick. Again, gets some good air under that one. Comes down around the 20-yard line for the Forest City Thunderbirds. And the return man finding some room to move up close to the 40-yard line. Ian Burdett finding some room to move.
Nice tackle there from Curtis Robichaud.
With under 8.5 to go in this 4th quarter, the Thunderbirds now just trying to play out the string here, get some good plays underway, and move on to next week. On defense, I guess now the task for the Cougars, just keep them out of the end zone. Ideally, keep them to 3 points. Scrambling to his right, quarterback able to get it away, but underthrowing his intended receiver, Geisler, who has got some catches this afternoon, some yards on the ground too, but that one was well short.
Again, trying to use that misdirection play, roll out to his right, Cornea does, and then throw back across his body, but that throw coming up short of the receiver.
2nd and 10, 38-yard line for Forest City.
Second and 10, ball at the 38-yard line.
And this one blown dead even before it gets underway. Flag down. And procedure against Forest City. 2nd and 15 coming up now.
Trying to get the ball in the hands of Ian Burdett, coming across the formation, who's been an effective return man for the Thunderbirds today.
I'm right now working
trying to get creative and just really get him the ball in any situation they can. Obviously, they consider him one of their playmakers.
Under 7 in this football game, 52-3, the Cougars over the Thunderbirds. Still looking for their first victory of the 2012 campaign. It's been a rough go here the first 5 games. Again, quarterback Cornea rolling to his right, going deep and get well under throwing his receiver, and another INT for the Cougars. And weaving his way past the 40, still on his feet along the near sideline. Great move and going in to the end zone for the touchdown. Amazing job by the Chatham-Kent Cougars, Nathan McIntyre. And McIntyre with a pick 6, but there is a flag around the 40-yard line. So will the touchdown stand and will the interception stand?
The ball's coming back here, so the touchdown isn't going to stand. It was a beautiful return, though, from McIntyre, as you mentioned. A great job cutting between 2 defenders right toward the end there to get into the end zone, but this one's coming back. Now, will the interception stand? We'll see here.
It's going right back to midfield.
Wow.
Exactly at midfield.
And, yep, they're going to say that interception stands. The penalty coming after the interception. I'm going to guess it was a... Oh, unnecessary roughness, block from behind, they're going to say.
Mario Niclario is the offending Cougar on that one. So the Cougars still have possession of the football after that interception, and unfortunately after a great run by Nathan McIntyre, unable to get the pick 6. Cougars still have the football though, 6 1/4 to go in this 4th. Keeping it on the ground, and a run by Blaine Bayshard will pick up maybe 2.
Bayshard just using his size there up the middle, try and push the pile. And I think the Cougars really at this point just trying to run out this clock and get out of this game without any major injury.
52-3, not a whole lot left to play for. Under 6 to play.
2nd and 8, balls at the 53-yard line.
2nd and 8, pitching it back. There's the big man with it, rumbling towards the near side and getting another couple of yards. Lee Purdell. Be 3rd down coming up here, 6 to go.
So the punt team will come onto the field. And the Cougars able to take some time off the clock there.
So special teams coming out here for the Cougars.
Third and 6, ball at the 51-yard line. Let's go, Steve! Let's go, Zach!
Coming down with it is Green, almost blocked there by Forest City, but Green able to get a good kick away once again, and around the 19-yard line that scoots out of bounds.
Kick that punt out of bounds at about the 19-yard line. First down,
Another nicely placed punt by Clark Green, pitting the Forest City Thunderbirds inside their own 20. 4.5 left to go in this 4th quarter, and a 49-point lead for the Cougars. Getting on the road next week. They will take their 3rd win of the victory, 3rd win of the season, I should say. On the road and back here on the 8th of July, game in Wallaceburg against the Burlington Stampeders. Next home game for the Cougars, at least in their home municipality.
Yeah, change of venue in Wallaceburg.
Back here at this spot, the athletic complex on the 22nd of July. And once again, Cornea almost another interception as he threw it into big coverage along the left-hand side. Almost there to get his hand up and grab it was Josh Schuen.
It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 19.
Almost looked like Nathan McIntyre might have gotten a mid on it as well.
There's been interceptions aplenty. Hasn't been the smoothest day for Chase Cornea. But, I mean, give him credit. He's had to pretty much do it all offensively, on the ground, in the air. He's thrown his fair share of errant passes, though.
Yeah, the offense revolves around him, no doubt. I mean, you could say that, you know, the offense revolves mostly around quarterbacks anyway, but Cornea really having to do double duty. He's essentially their running back as well, with the majority of the carries today for London.
Cornea scrambling off to his right, trying to find somebody open. Cutting across his body and off of a couple of fingertips. Again, Schuhen there in the vicinity. Falls incomplete. And 3rd down and 10 coming up here. 3 minutes to go in this football game.
Josh Schuhen upset with himself. Felt like he should have caught that one. But good coverage, though, making sure that Cornea couldn't throw the ball back across the field. It's always dangerous when you get the offense rolling out to one side and the defense flows with the offense, and then you clear a lot of space on the opposite side of the field. But good job by the Cougars. London's tried to do that a few times today. The Cougars haven't allowed any big plays on that. Good defense from the Cougars all day long. And obviously evidenced by just the 3 points that they've given up today.
3rd down and 10. They'll kick this one away with clock ticking down. Just over 2.5 to play. Punt is away, high in the air. Frappier around the 50-yard line of Forest City, grabbing it. A lot of room to move. He might take this into the big house, and he will, for another Cougars touchdown off the punt. Eric Frappier able to join the party here offensively. 58-3 now. He found the big giant holes in the defense for Forest City. No pressure whatsoever, it seemed, there to bring them down. And the laugher continues.
Well, Eric Frappier showing that he's a threat on punt returns. A nice job there, a nice day for Eric Frappier. He did have 2 interceptions. One of them was negated by a penalty. So 1 interception on the day, and then that punt return for a touchdown goes about 50 yards. A nice job by number 84. Extend that massive lead from the Cougars now.
They'll go for 59 here on the extra point.
Yeah, I went on the...
Quite the offensive output for the Cougars today. That's certainly going to help their stats.
Well, after they were a little frustrated last week, held to just 6 points in the 21-6 loss, they're certainly getting their fair share of points back at it.
Timeout for the Cougars.
Chatham-Kent taking a timeout.
Yeah, coming into this game, the Cougars had 105 points for and 62 against. So right now it would be 65 points against. And I'm going to test my math skills here.
Well, since mine are no good, you better go at it than I do.
I'm going to say 164 now with the extra point. So 164 points for and 65 against for the Cougars, including this game.
59-3 the score now. 2:24 to go in this football game before the Forest City Thunderbirds are able to get on the bus and just forget about another one.
Yeah, to CTV, I think one, yeah, a few to CTV, there was a few to Kojiko actually. There was
a complete game for the entire Cougars squad here this afternoon. Offense, defense, special teams, it has all worked out for them.
Smaller broadcasters like Sun TV and stuff.
Yeah, I've been seeing them pop up a bit around locally.
Yeah. One of the biggest broadcasters in Canada is a company called Asian TV now.
The what?
It's called Asian TV.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and that's where the big channel growth is right now.
Is that the one out of Mississauga or?
It's moving to market.
Oh.
Kick is away for the Cougars. Coy able to kick in that one away this time around. And now they're just trying to play keep away at this particular time. Still able to get it to the very speedy Ian Burdett. He's a very quick and agile fella there for the Forest City Thunderbirds, but eventually broke down and wrapped up around the 30-yard line.
Good speed from Burdett. maybe lacks a little bit of size, just at 5'5", 132 pounds, but certainly has some elusiveness and able to make something out of nothing really there using his speed.
2 minutes, 10 seconds to go this fourth quarter. 59 for the Chatham-Kent Cougars and 3 for the boys from London, Varsity Thunderbirds. One more game to go here in this quadruple header. The Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex, the Bantam Cougars against boys from KW a little bit later on. And keeping it on the ground, not getting much of anything, maybe a yard that time around for Forest City.
Looked like a bit of a problem there, exchanging the football from the quarterback to the running back. That certainly never helps.
Second and 9.
Second and 9 here, 30-yard line of the Forest City Thunderbirds. And again, they keep it on the ground. Cougars defense all over, wrapping them up.
Nice job from the Cougars defense today, especially up front. They've been really strong. They had a few pressures on the quarterback today on Cornea, getting into the backfield. A nice job, and then obviously from that secondary as well. A few interceptions, and then special teams. Some nice kicks from Clark Green, some directional kicks, and then we just saw the punt return for a touchdown from Eric Frappier. So
pretty much a complete football game.
Yeah, it really has been a complete football game from the Cougars today.
So a lot to be proud of if you're the Cougars as you're heading off to the off week next week. A little room for a breather. Burlington Stampeders coming to Chatham-Kent. Again, the game Wallaceburg, July the 8th. Last few seconds, 43 seconds left to go
32-yard line
in this football game. Another kick coming down around the 50-yard line of the Cougars, bringing it to midfield and just past midfield. Cougars able to bring it down, and they will have the last possession of this football game, it looks like, with 33 seconds left to go.
Return for a gain of about 5 yards.
One more game to go. The Bantams welcoming in the Predators Club.
What do they do?
This quadruple header here at the Chatham-Kent Community Athletic Complex, Alumni Sunday here in Chatham-Kent. Really want to thank the sponsors here too. Again, one more time, Enviro Clean Car and Dog Wash, big supporters of the Chatham-Kent Cougars. Dr. Svek Institute of Psychological Services, so thank those folks over there as well. Community Cleaners. Also Auto Tech Services, TechNet Auto Service on Bing Avenue in Chatham as the final horn sounds here to wrap up a huge 59-3 win with the Varsity Cougars, as they're now 3-1-1 on the season. Also, Centerline Equipment Rentals, Chatham, London, and Windsor. We want to thank those folks very well for being on board of the Chatham-Kent Cougars Football Club. Bev Shreve over at Royal LePage Piper Realty Brokerage, I should say, bshreve.com if you want to check him out online. State Farm with Brad Archer, Scott Stanley, Karen Buzazzi. State Farm, big supporters here too, and everybody who put their sponsorship on the Chatham-Kent Cougars, all levels of the Cougars football. We thank them very much because a lot of talent on this Cougars squad, certainly with the varsity squad. They strutted their stuff today.
It certainly did. An all-around performance from the Cougars. Big games from a number of people. Lee Purnell, Jonah Pataki, Blaine Bayshard, Kyle Ross. Great job at quarterback again today. Really been impressed with him. Some really nice tight balls that he threw today. Eric Frappier, an interception and a punt return for a touchdown. Geez, there's so many names come to mind for the Cougars. It's you can't really single anyone out. Just great performances all around. Alistair Coy obviously had a good game as well, and Nathan McIntyre had a pick today. So, and of course, geez, just so many names to go through. We'd
be here an hour.
Yeah, it's been a really an all-around performance, and Clark Green obviously with some tremendous kicking today. So, a nice performance from the Cougars. We mentioned bounce back from their first loss of the season. This will help with their confidence for sure, and they get a nice week off before they come back and face Burlington. So that'll be interesting to see how the Cougars fare. Obviously, a nice 3-1-1 record now, and proving that they're one of the top clubs in this conference.
The Burlington Stampeders will be the visiting club when the Varsity Cougars next take to the field on July the 8th. That will be in Wallaceburg. Okay, that's going to be a change of venue in Wallaceburg. They're back here to the Community Athletic Complex July the 22nd. So good stuff out of you, Michael. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
On behalf of Mike James, Jeff Brooks on the camera, my name is Mike Rennie. Your final score, the Varsity Cougars walking away with this one big time, 59-3 over the Forest City Thunderbirds. Thanks for watching with TV Cogeco and the Chatham-Kent Cougars.